the first Monday of every month, the Gold Institute for International Strategy, we host a meeting, and we listen to a variety of different topics from different speakers. And I'm very pleased that you had the opportunity. You have the opportunity to join us today from Ukraine to give us really an understanding and a briefing as to where we are, where things are holding today. What's the progress of this war? And just to give us a full briefing as you can. But really, it's important for people to understand from you what is happening on the ground. So for those who don't know, Halyna Yachenko is a member of the Ukrainian parliament in Kyiv right now. And Halyna, let me just pass it to you. And if you're okay with it, maybe we'll take some questions when you are finished.
Yeah, okay. Hi, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity to talk to you. However, I don't have that much time. I hope for your understanding, because things are going on here. So let's maybe try to squeeze it all into half an hour. I will share the latest updates with you of the situation, and then let's take some questions if you have some. I just don't know what to start with, because it seems to me that we keep repeating the same things and the same pleas for like a week and a half in a row, and we hardly see any response except of our prayers are with you. And given the fact that situation keeps very tense, it seems that we need not prayers but active, some active steps and activities, which we partly receive. But again, given that the situation is very tense, we definitely need much more support and many more concrete steps. So the situation is really, really horrible. Horrible in terms of the way Russian occupants are fighting with Ukraine. Definitely their hopes for invading Ukraine in a couple of days have failed. And Putin is mad, and leadership, military leadership, are very mad because of that. So they have changed the tactics, and starting with I don't know, day 6 or day 7, they have started a real homicide in Ukraine. So they have actually started to fight against civilians and kill thousands of people, kill families, kill children, hit on purpose on infrastructure objects like electricity and power plants to leave cities and settlements without electricity and heat. And it's still quite cold in Ukraine. Today, it's maybe about 5 Celsius degrees. So you really need some heating. We have settlements that have been without electricity and heat for a couple days in a row. We have cities a number of cities, of satellite cities near Kyiv, small towns near Kyiv that have been shelled for a couple of days in a row. People are running out of food and stuff and water. People are injured and they can't receive medical aid on time because city is under shelling, and they just can't leave, and doctors are unable to take the injured people. Well, you know that the second negotiation have ended with only one concrete agreement on so-called green corridors or humanitarian corridors. But again, given that Russian army has started to just severely kill civilians, they have They have how do you say it? Like they didn't follow the agreements, and in Mariupol, Melitopol, the rather big cities in southern east of Ukraine, in Irpin, which is 80,000 people living in it next to Kyiv, Russian occupants were just killing civilians, like shooting them when they tried to escape. A couple of days ago, when we realized that we will be able to evacuate people from Irpin, and now the most safe type of transportation is railway, and we plan to evacuate people from Irpin to Kyiv by railway. Russians have blown the rails. So we were like the humanitarian like rescue operation was really complicated by that. So we had like to, and again, Irpin is 80,000 inhabitants in that. So you can imagine what it is to evacuate like such a crowd. So we tried to evacuate them by ground. And again, Russians were like shooting on people, killed a family of 4, mom, dad, and 2 children, killed a couple of volunteers who were trying to to help civilians. And actually, we realized that we are not fighting against people, but we are fighting against some kind of devils who have nothing saint in them, who kill children, who don't care what, like, that they shoot in a residential neighborhood. They don't care that they're ruining schools. And starting with this war, I think 211 schools were ruined, like, till the ground. Like smashed till the ground. So we really, I just I'm very emotional inside, but I have like no more emotions to share with you, no more tears, because I ran out of tears. Because what Russians are doing is like a real homicide. It's not the war that you would like wait to see in 21st century. Well, actually, you hope not to see any war in 21st century, but like so yeah, the situation is very tense. They keep shelling very heavily cities in the north, in east, and on south. They have occupied a couple cities, but here I'm coming to a very important point, and I really want you to realize that, as much as we in Ukraine realize that, Ukraine will fight till the very end. We hope that the very end will be the very last Russian soldier which leaves our country, and very last Russian tank which leave our country. But we will never, ever will how do you say it?
You'll never surrender.
Like go along with Russian, not our president, nor MPs. Yesterday, we all read an article in Washington Post, and we were so disappointed. We felt ourselves betrayed. In this article, it said that couple top politicians from US, and also a couple like diplomats or also politicians from Europe are discussing and working out a plan of Ukrainian government in exile, like how to like set Ukrainian parliament and Ukrainian government to work like in Poland or somewhere else in exile. This will never happen. We will never leave our country, because our country is a peaceful, democratic European country with 42 million people in it, living in it. How do you imagine that we leave our people? Who will protect them? Who will fight back for them? So politicians will never betray people. Our army will never betray people, and our army is, and people ourselves will not betray their country. Our army is fighting back severely. They are doing miracles. We already have, kind of memes in Ukraine. There is a guy who worked in Ukrpochta. It's like Ukrainian state post service, who went to territory defense and received a very old, like 1986-year-old production, an anti-missile like weapon, like very old, made in USSR, and he already hit 2 Russian, like super modern Russian planes with it. A guy who worked in Ukrainian post, like Ukrainian postman. Right. So we already have memes like in Ukraine when, superheroes, Hollywood superheroes are asking like, are you from like community of superhero? And the guy says, no, I'm from Ukrainian post. And the number of Ukrainian heroes like that is enormous, and we will fight till the end. But of course, it's easier to fight when you have modern weapon and when you have enough of it. Given the fact that Russia decided just to send pretty much I don't know, 90% of all their troops. Like we really need weapon. So our Ukrainian heroism and Ukrainian heroes like have can fight not with their arms, but with real weapons. So we really need from Europe and from US urgently, like not in a month or so, but as soon as it's only possible, enough of air defense and lethal weapon. What exactly do I mean? We are aware that the US has such a systems that are used in Israel, the air defense, so-called Iron Dome. We know that US has at least 2 systems like that, and they will really help, especially for such regions as Kyiv, and especially for such region as Zaporizhia, Mariupol, and Melitopol in the southeast. Why do I call these regions for like which desperately need Iron Dome? Because there are nuclear power stations in this region. Near Kyiv, like I don't know how many, like 50 or 70 kilometers away, there is Chernobyl, a nuclear power plant that in 1966, and now Russian troops are being based in Chernobyl, and we really worry that they can like ruin or damage a sarcophag that covers the block that was exploded. And it's and they have like their tanks, they have their missiles stations there, so it's very dangerous, like not only for Ukraine but for the world. It threatens the ecological disaster of a continental scale. So it's really important to cover like Kyiv region and have with powerful air defense like Iron Dome. Also, another region which is Zaporizhia, Melitopol, and Mariupol are vital to be like hardly covered by a super modern air defense like Iron Dome, because yet another nuclear power plant is there, Zaporizhia. And that a couple days ago, Russians were hitting the Zaporizhia and also Energodar, the city which is like satellite city for Zaporizhia, and the city where this Zaporizhia nuclear power station power plant is in it. So they were hitting the city the whole day, and eventually at night they hit the nuclear power plant in Zaporizhia, and there was fire. And that was probably one of the most horrible nights in my in my life, because for the whole night I didn't sleep. I tried to get reach to anyone I could in Europe, in media and stuff, because you can imagine what it is like fire, a huge fire on a nuclear power station. And also the reason why we went through a horrible stress that night, because Ukrainian rescue service could not approach to the nuclear power plant to stop the fire, because Russians kept shelling. And this is probably the very first case in the world history when I don't know, like people are shelling at nuclear power station, and they are shelling at the rescue service, which tries to stop fire. Like, it is, as far as I know, it is prohibited by like all memorandum and by human logic as such to do such a things. So yeah, but so we need this Iron Dome. We also need more air defense systems like in-loves and loves, javelins and stings. They will really help to avoid thousands of victims among innocent civilians, Ukrainians. We also lack. Well, we have a lot, but to me that my. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Do you still hear
you? Yes. Hello, can you hear us?
Yep. Yeah. We also need more bulletproof helmets and body armors, but air defense is first. Air defense is number one. Big amount and urgently. This is like number one what we need. We realize that NATO will not take any responsibility and will not take any action to have no-fly zone above Ukraine. That they are okay with thousands of victims, but okay, we don't care. Like, we realize that we are disappointed with it, but we don't care. We are ready to have a safe sky above Ukraine ourselves, but we need weapon. We need air defense. So this is what I'm like begging you to organize as an aid and as urgent aid from your countries. And overall, I probably to end with my speech, I want to tell you how civilians, just innocent people, are going through this. We have a huge number of victims among civilians. It's difficult to count the exact numbers, but we think it's a couple thousand of people killed already, innocent people. The number of children killed is over 3,000 already, and the number increases on a daily basis. The number of orphans is increasing daily as well, so a couple hundreds already. 2 days ago, my day have started with a message from my colleague, member of parliament from Kharkiv, and you know how Kharkiv was shelled, just like unhuman attitude by Russian troops. So she sent me a text that she is coming from Kharkiv to Kyiv with 78 children who became orphans, and we need to manage with these children, and it's really difficult to manage it under shelling when Kyiv is also under shelling and stuff. The number of flees who crossed borders and went to Europe is already over 1 million.
Oh, wow.
But still a lot of civilian population are staying in their cities, including the occupied cities. I don't know whether you've seen these videos from occupied cities, such city as Kherson, for example, but there were more.
when Russian occupants already entered the city and captured administration buildings. And so the next day, thousands, in Kherson, it was 2,000 or 3,000 people with Ukrainian flags went to the main street to protest. With Ukrainian flags, singing Ukrainian hymn, they were protesting against people, Russians who have weapon in their hands, and Russians were shooting in air, trying to fighting people who went with Ukrainian flags in occupied city. Do you imagine the bravery of Ukrainian people in occupied city, full of Russian militaries with weapon in their hands? People are not afraid. They take Ukrainian flags and go to city, and they are saying the words, Russians, go home. We don't need you. We don't want you. People with no armor, with bare hands, go in occupied cities. So I really want you to remember that Ukrainians will not leave the country. Politicians will not leave the country. There will be no exile government or parliament. So forget about such plans. Forget writing articles like that, forget giving commands like that, because it will never happen, and we will fight for our country till the very end. We have European country, we have democratic country, and we want to keep it as such. You don't imagine what is going on in Russia. Well, and probably we will have less and less information from Russia, given the fact that they have changed their criminal code. And now, as far as I know, majority of international journalists have left Russia, because now in Russia you can be imprisoned for 15 years for calling a war in Ukraine a war. Do you imagine a country like that? Do you imagine dictatorship and tyranny like that? Our people will never be under such a dictatorship and tyranny, because we already chose a different vector and different values. We are people of different values and different civilization. So I really want you to keep that in mind and think what actions you can take to save Ukrainian civilians and Ukrainian cities from being totally destroyed. From total destroyment, I don't know, from this horrible shelling and bombing of cities of Ukraine.
Thank you for your remarks, and I think it's very important. And I think that you touched on a wide range of issues, and I know that there are several people that have questions. If you have the time, and you'll tell me when you need to go.
Yeah, let's go through them.
Just real quick, the supply routes. Tell me about this about the supply routes into Ukraine, and what are they clear? Has the Russia bombed them and so on? What is the? Tell us about the supply routes.
Do you mean supply of what?
Is to get things into the country.
Okay. It's more or less okay.
Okay.
Borders with the European unions are open, so you can drive in with trucks with humanitarian aid, but also body armor and helmets and weapon. There are some difficulties transporting it through Ukraine, especially through the cities and settlements where the shellings are taking place. And that's why we are especially worried about eastern Ukrainian cities and regions. But as of the day, we're trying to supply it with food. Also, there are some local producers. But again, and this is like really horrifying. It seems that Russians are hitting the infrastructure on purpose. Like there is one of the biggest, probably the biggest chicken farm in Ukraine, in the south of Ukraine. I think it's Kherson region. There are 3 million chicken on this farm. And Russians have heated their electricity supply. So now this chicken farm with 3 million chicken on it are without light, and it means that it will be yet another huge ecological catastrophe, because like, well, you know how like chicken farms, special chicken farms, they need electricity and stuff. So it will be a place where 3 million chicken die. Not buried, not like, like treated. And this kind of hell is happening in every region. We go through a real nightmare while the world is watching us on TV for 12 days and organizing events. It's time to take actions. Do everything you can, and do even more than you can. Like Ukrainians are doing much more than they can. Ukrainians are doing much more than human being can do. Question with Iron Dome. Well, we need any air defense system that are available. I know that Iron Dome is limited in terms of the square it can cover, but we have regions that we need to cover from Russian missiles, and these are the areas, the regions with nuclear plants. Like these are the first, the very urgent demand, and yeah. But any other air defense systems are also very much needed. Yeah. Okay. I see the question about whether Mr. Zelensky responded to Moscow's demand to cessation of military operation. Well, it's not us who have started this military operation, and it's not us who keep military operation. You see, we tried to negotiate to stop shelling, at least for some cities which are on the edge of humanitarian catastrophe, like Irpin near Kyiv, like Mariupol, south, like a couple more cities. And these animals, Russian animals, kept fighting, kept shooting civilians. So what kind of cessation of military operation can you talk? They keep shelling. What should we do? Take down the weapon and wait until the Russian missile come again? We are not the one who invaded. We are not the one who started fighting. We are protecting our land and our people. But Russians are not following any negotiations. They reach negotiation and they fail to fulfill it, because that's not their point. That's not their goal, to fulfill negotiations, to implement negotiations. If they shoot civilians without any armor, families with children on their arms, they shoot on them. They shoot on these people who are coming through humanitarian corridors. Yeah, Putin is issuing demands. He is not issuing demands, he is issuing ultimatums. And these ultimatums makes little sense. Like one of his ultimatum is for Ukraine to have no army, to dissolve our army. So we will have no defense at all in future. No army for Ukraine. Can you imagine a country of 42 million people with such a neighbor as Russia without army? Can you imagine a country which gave away its nuclear weapon in 1994 to Russia for free. We did not receive any money. We did not receive any support. And the only thing we received in 1994 when we gave away our nuclear power to Russia were security agreements, which were gave to Ukraine according to Budapest Memorandum by 3 countries: US, UK, and Russia. So what are we discussing? What kind of Putin's ultimatum are we discussing? Ukraine without army? In 2 years, they will fight us again because they are crazy people with no, humanity in them. So it will never happen that Ukraine will give away its army. The very last I wanted to tell to General Dean. Look, another reason why we are not giving away or giving up our army in this Putin ultimatum is the fact that Putin is not following the negotiations he reached. In 1994, with nuclear power, the negotiation and agreement that Russian, US, and UK will protect our borders were not reached. With the humanitarian corridors, they are not doing. And actually, a week before the war in Ukraine have started, Putin was giving press conferences saying that they are not going to invade in Ukraine. So one thing that you should remember about Putin, he is the biggest liar in this world. He is not following the negotiations. He is not following his promises. And that's why Ukraine needs to protect itself. And we will do it. And the only thing that we hope that we will receive the support we desperately need now. And that world, and especially US and UK, which had some that had to be responsible for Ukrainian safety and safety of Ukrainian borders, will do some active actions to be responsible for their promises in 1994, in order for Ukraine not to to be well, anyway, it just.
Thank you for your time today. This is a very important update for us, and to understand what is truly happening on the ground right now. Thank you for your time.